The sophisticates, the sort of fringe sophisticates, who've taken control of the federal government, have been engaged, as you may have noticed, with the help of the international leapfrog mafia who move behind the scenes in various nation states, commanding centers and cultures, engaged in oil wars and fashion rivalries, mostly intellectual fashions and ignorance, have been, as you may have noticed, engaged in genocide games. If there's a tip of the iceberg, it can be found in Schwarzenegger's promotion of Greta Thunberg, where he says Reagan did a lot of good things. That's not true. Reagan himself was in Axis Hollywood, plotting these genocide games. He also put ecology so low on the ladder in a time when Epstein Island prospered, by the way, that he barely even thought of anything ecological. In Pittsburgh, the snuff kitty film Kidnapping Rings were putting out Ono cover songs and hit singles called Flame Over Africa. This is the movement that Schwarzenegger is using poor Greta Thunberg as a cover girl for, a sort of little girl Ingrid Bergman espionage. So what is going on as Trump clambers back to the top over Joe Biden's zombie-like performance, allowing America to be depicted by Netanyahu as a fatted calf. What he plans to do is erase human history, vanquish academics, and make good and darn sure nobody ever records the evidence of Lenin's Houdini, which is where this is coming from. Axis Hollywood's big super movie. Well, what you need to understand is that the author of the Texas School Book, Jack Ruby, Gail Raven, Gail Burston, and Ronald Reagan, hated peace. And they invented the idea that there's no such thing as bystanders, that no one is innocent, to create what Herbert Agar called a forcing house. He was the editor of the Southern Review. And it's basically the idea that if you don't choose a side, those who are not with us are against us. If you don't choose a side, then you're the enemy. And it's informed by the idea that people's evasion of direct confrontation, which is symbolized in the Safeway sign of John Kennedy's rerouted motorcade, draft evasion, is an accomplice, a collaborator. And I'll explain legally, first of all, what's wrong with that. And then I'll describe some of the details of the machine prison that this alien enigma is imposing for the Fourth Reich. Legally, there are bystander laws. Bystander laws mean that when there's an incident, a person doesn't necessarily have to put themselves at risk. And one of the reasons pertains to the corollary Samaritan laws, which is that you can be held responsible. For example, if there's a fire and somebody is trapped, and you go in, try to save them, and only you come out alive, you may be to blame for interfering with a rescue by professionals on hand. who could have saved the life you lost. Bystanders and Samaritan laws pertain to responsibility codes. Now, Netanyahu is seeking to violate and void all civilian ideas. It comes from a movement known as the Hair, Broadway musical Hair, who are actively claiming themselves that we have no right to privacy. They want to strip us and examine us from head to toe. And the Green Party machine has converted everyone into accomplices for not going along with Schwarzenegger's idea that Reagan's draft evasion stuff, in the interest of Access Hollywood, must be obeyed, or we are to blame for the problems in Darfur and Gaza. Was put up as a TikTok war to engage our psyches in human obligation to prevent genocide. This is an Israeli contribution. They want an example to show why they hate us. When we don't protect Gaza, they secretly point at our backs and say that's why we stabbed them, because they stood by, they were bystanders, they were innocent when we, the Jews, were subjected to something absolutely ungodly. And their model in, for example, the Black Panther Party and the Green Party is the disturbing model of Israelis who say that the fight in Gaza isn't their fight unless the fight in Darfur is your fight. And they want to be able to commit genocide. They're playing a genocide game. They were involved in the AIDS attack. They were involved in COVID-19. And they want to normalize genocide in the name of this utopian idea of an ark that comes from nuclear underground bomb blasting, cobalt bomb building, DDT monstrosities from the military-industrial complex, who have never cared and never will care about the issue of ecocide. So the Israeli model for Gaza is going to save our planet, is it? I think another tune needs to be sung. Respect for bystanders and Samaritans, because many people in the community college movement, in the Red Crescent, in the United Nations, the Doctors Without Borders, and Save the Children, in United Negro College Fund, are bystanders and Samaritans who have far better ideas than Mick Jagger's honky-tonk woman in support of Hitler Reagan's studio monstrosity.